sold by weight like meat, but the human buyer whispered, "You're coming home with me." The auction room smelled like metal, blood, and fear. Cages lined the walls, stacked one above another, each holding someone or something that once had a name. Now, they only had numbers. Lot number 492 sat in silence, knees to chest, staring at the cold floor. She had been here for 9 days, or maybe 10. Time felt broken inside the cage. She didn't cry anymore. There was no point. The guards only laughed when someone cried, or worse, bet on how long the crying would last. Outside the cages, alien buyers walked through the aisles like they were at a fish market, tall creatures with blue skin, wide shoulders, and glowing eyes. They read the weight charts, muscle stats, and organ values like checking fruit. "Too skinny," one said. "Too soft," said another, tapping on the glass of a boy's cage. "Bones too weak for mining." They moved on. Then, a new sound echoed through the hall. Boots. But not the usual clank of guard boots. These were heavier, slower, more grounded, like they belonged to something old and dangerous. Everyone turned. It was a human, a real one. The guard stiffened as he walked in. Tall, quiet, wearing a long dark coat. His eyes scanned the cages with calm that didn't fit the place. His steps were slow, like he wasn't in a rush, like he already knew what he was here for. The aliens whispered among themselves. Humans rarely came to these slave auctions, and when they did, they never bought. They conquered, they destroyed, they broke things just to see how they worked. The galaxy feared humans not because they were evil, but because they were unpredictable. The human stopped in front of lot number 492's cage. He said nothing for a long time. She looked up, slowly. Her hair was matted, her eyes hollow, her ribs showed under the thin fabric they had given her. She didn't speak, she knew better. He crouched down, face close to the glass, and simply said, "Name?" She hesitated. Then, barely a whisper, "Kale." The human stood up and turned to the auctioneer. "I'll take her," he said. The auctioneer blinked. "You mean buy? At full price?" "Yes. But humans don't." "Full price," he repeated, pulling out a black credit slab. "Now." The alien took it quickly, before anyone could question more. The scanner beeped. The cage buzzed. Unlocked. Kale didn't move. Her legs wouldn't work. Her mind said it was a trick, a test. Maybe the guards would beat her if she stepped out. The human opened the door himself. He didn't smile. He didn't speak again. He just reached out his hand. Slow. Not grabbing. Just offering. Kale stared at it. Then, almost without thinking, she reached out. Her fingers touched his, expecting cold metal. But it was warm. Real. "You're coming home with me," he whispered. That line hit her harder than any whip ever had. Home. She didn't remember what that meant anymore. The other captives watched with wide eyes as Kale stepped out of her cage. They didn't cheer. They didn't smile. But in their silence, there was something new. Hope. The guards didn't stop them, not with that human standing there. As they walked out, Kale asked, her voice still dry, "Why me?" The human didn't answer for a long time. Then he said, "Because no one else did." Outside, the air smelled different, colder but cleaner. Kale blinked at the sky, stars above, freedom ahead. But something still felt strange. "Where are we going?" she asked. The human didn't look back. "To start a war," he said calmly. "And I need someone who knows what being powerless feels like." Kale didn't know what that meant, not yet. But for the first time in years, her heartbeat felt real. Not fast from fear, just alive. Behind them, alarms started to ring. Someone had figured it out. The human hadn't just bought a slave. He had stolen a weapon. And she was just waking up. The human didn't buy her. He chose her. Kale woke up gasping. The walls were smooth, dark, and silent. No cage, no glass, no alien voices. Just a bed, a real bed. The sheets smelled like dust and metal, but they were soft. Her body was sore, like she had been moved or treated. Bandages covered her arms. Her hands were clean. She sat up slowly, heart pounding. Where was she? What was this place? Before she could stand, the door opened. He walked in. The human. Same coat, same calm eyes, but this time, no shadows, just light. "You slept for 19 hours, he said, placing a tray on the table. "Eat." Kale didn't move. Her eyes locked on the plate. Hot food, real food, meat, rice, water. Her stomach growled. but her hands stayed still. "What is this place?" she asked. He didn't answer directly, just sat across from her. "You're not a slave anymore," he said. "You're not cargo. You're a person, again." "That's not an answer," she said. He leaned back, watching her. "This is my ship," he said. "We're 5 hours away from where you were sold." Kale finally touched the food. She didn't even realize she was crying until her tears hit the plate. "I thought I was going to die there," she whispered. "I know," he said. She looked up. "Why did you save me?" He paused. "Because I saw something in you." Kale shook her head. "You don't even know me." "True," he said. "But I know what it's like to be seen as a thing." She studied him now, really looked at him. His hands were scarred. One of his eyes had a faint burn mark near the corner. He looked like someone who'd survived a lot. "What's your name?" she asked. He smiled for the first time, but it wasn't a happy smile, more like a crack in the armor. "Roth," he said. "Captain Roth." Kale whispered it to herself like it was a magic word. Then her expression hardened. "You said we're going to start a war?" she said. "Against who?" He stood up and tapped a panel on the wall. A hologram blinked to life, showing a massive map, red lines, blinking dots, star systems labeled with alien symbols. "The ones who buy and sell people like meat," Roth said. "The ones who think value is measured in weight." He pointed to a dot glowing blue. "That's where we are." Then he pointed to a red cluster. "That's where the next auction is." Kale stood, anger rising in her chest. "You're going to hit them?" Roth nodded. "Not alone." A beep echoed from the hallway. Roth turned and said, "They're here." "Who's here?" Kale asked. He walked to the door and opened it. Outside stood 6 others. Not human, not like her either. Each of them wore armor, weapons, scars, and quiet eyes like Roth's. Roth turned to her. "Meet the crew." Kale blinked. "You have an army." "No," Roth said. "I have survivors, just like you." The tallest among them, a gray-skinned woman with a cybernetic arm, nodded at Kale. "We all started in cages," she said. "Now we take cages apart." Kale felt something shift inside her. Not fear, not weakness, power. A quiet storm building in her chest. "You said I was a weapon," she said. "What did you mean?" Roth looked her in the eyes. "You're not strong because you fought," he said. "You're strong because you survived, and now you know what not being free feels like." Kale didn't smile. She just nodded. For the first time in years, she had a purpose. Not escape, not survival. Revenge. Behind them, the stars burned cold and steady. Ahead of them, the galaxy would never be the same. She wasn't just a slave, she was engineered. Kale stood in the training room, fists wrapped, heart racing. The walls were padded metal, the air thick with silence. Across from her stood Bran, the crew's combat trainer. His arms were like tree trunks, his face all scars and 0 smiles. "Again," he said. Kale threw a punch. Then another. Her footwork was off. Bran caught her elbow and twisted. Pain shot through her arm. She dropped to the mat. "That's death," he growled. "Every mistake costs blood." Kale sat up, sweat dripping down her back. She wanted to scream, but she just nodded and stood again. From the corner, Roth watched quietly, arms folded. "She learns fast," he said. Bran didn't look over. "She learns angry." "That's faster," Roth replied. But Kale wasn't listening. Because in her head, something snapped. Not from pain, from memory. She blinked. The training room was gone. Suddenly, she was underwater, floating in a green tank. Tubes in her skin, numbers flashing on glass. Voices echoed outside the tank. "Subject K, 12 ready for Phase 2. She's stabilizing faster than expected." No signs of memory retention. Kale gasped, fell to her knees on the mat. Back in the present, her heart pounded like a drum inside a cage. "What was that?" she whispered. Bran stepped back, surprised. Roth moved in. "You okay?" he asked. Kale nodded slowly. "Yeah," she lied. But that flash, it was real, too real. Later that night, she sat alone in the ship's lower deck, staring out the window at the stars. The crew was asleep, except Roth. He sat beside her without asking, hands resting on his knees. "I had a memory," she said, "but it wasn't mine, or maybe it was." "Tell me," Roth said. She described the tank, the voices, the strange feeling of being made. Not born. Roth didn't speak for a long time. Finally, he said, "You're not the only one." Kale turned. "What?" You were taken young, Roth said. But some are never born at all. Some are grown, bioprogrammed, hybrid-trained, made for sale. Kale's stomach turned. Are you saying I'm not human? I'm saying, Roth said, there's more to you than you've been told. Kale looked at her hands, her skin, her scars, her memories. How many were real? How do I find out the truth? She asked. Roth stood. We hit the next auction in 2 days. One of the handlers there ran a lab. If anyone knows your origin, it's him. Kale stood too, her voice sharp now. Then I want him alive. Roth nodded once. He's yours. But Kale didn't want revenge anymore. She wanted answers. She wanted the truth buried in her bones. As the ship moved through deep space, Kale walked back to her quarters and stared into the mirror. Not just at her face, but at her eyes. And for the first time, she wondered what was really looking back. The auction was still running, but Kale was the real product. The handler watched the security feed in silence. His face was smooth, too smooth, stretched skin over synthetic bones. Behind him, 3 guards stood still, waiting for orders. Subject K, 12 is alive, he said, voice cold, mechanical, and she's coming. One of the guards stepped forward. Should we evacuate? No, the handler said, turning to the main screen. We've already set the trap. Let her come home. Kale stepped off the ship with her hood pulled low. The new auction was buried inside a black market spaceport, a maze of steel walls, blinking lights, and a stink of smoke and oil. Roth walked behind her, quiet but alert. The rest of the crew was spread out, posing as buyers, guards, and smugglers. But Kale was the only one heading for the handler. She could feel it. The gravity here was wrong, like her blood knew the floor. Like her body remembered this place before her mind did. Inside, the auction looked almost normal. Bright lights, high platforms, buyers watching from glass rooms above, another batch of prisoners in cages, their eyes empty, same as hers used to be. Kale clenched her fists. I see him, Roth's voice said through the comm in her ear. 3rd level, south platform, corner booth. She looked up. There he was. Same face from the memory, same calm eyes, same hands folded like nothing in the world could touch him. Kale moved fast, weaving through the crowd, straight toward the stairs. Wait, Roth said sharply, something's. But it was too late. As Kale reached the 2nd level, a sharp buzz echoed. All exits locked. A dozen guards appeared from the shadows, weapons raised, but not shooting. Not yet. The handler stood and stepped forward. Kale, he said, using her name like a leash. Or should I call you K-12? She stopped cold. How do you know that? She asked. He smiled. Because I made you. Kale's skin went cold, but she didn't step back. You're lying, she said. Am I? He said, tapping a device on his wrist. A hologram flickered to life beside him, showing her, floating in the tank again, heart monitors, brainwaves, data streams. You were never a person, he said softly. You were a prototype. Kale's breath caught in her chest. No, she whispered. I was taken. I had a life. He nodded. Yes, we gave you one, a fabricated memory set, mixed with trauma. You were meant to feel real, so buyers could bond with you. You sold people like they were tools, she said, her voice shaking with rage. He tilted his head. You are a tool, Kale, but the good news is, we're recalling you. Behind her, more guards closed in. Then, the lights died. Screams below. Gunfire. Explosions. The crew had launched the assault. Roth's voice came through the comm again, sharp. Fall back now. But Kale didn't move. She stared at the handler, fury burning in her veins. You said I'm a tool, she said. He smiled. A very expensive one. Kale took one step forward. Then watch what I do when I'm broken. She leapt. Guards rushed to block her, but she moved faster than she ever had before, faster than human. Her body knew what to do before she did. She wasn't just trained. She was designed. She crashed into the handler, slammed him to the floor, but instead of blood, her fist hit metal. He laughed. You think I'd show up in person? He said as the hologram flickered around his body. This is just a shell, a projection. The floor beneath her opened up. She fell through. Darkness swallowed her. She woke up, surrounded by copies of herself. Kale opened her eyes to silence. Not peace. The wrong kind of silence. The kind that meant something was waiting. She was lying on a surgical table, cold steel under her back, soft lights humming above. She tried to move, but her arms were strapped down, her legs too. Her head throbbed. She wasn't alone. To her left, another table. To her right, two more. Each one held her. Not clones. Not twins. Versions. One with a scar through her lip. One missing an arm, replaced with cybernetics. One unconscious, twitching in her sleep like she was stuck in a nightmare. Kale's breath caught in her throat. "What is this?" she whispered. A voice crackled through a speaker above. "Welcome back, K-12. It was the handler's voice. "Though technically," he continued, "you're K-12C, the third functional series, you're the only one who got as far as escape." Kale fought the restraints. "Let me out," she growled. "No," he said calmly. "You don't get to leave again. Not until we learn what made you different." She heard footsteps now, approaching slowly. A door slid open. Someone walked in, and it wasn't a guard. It was her, standing, smiling, alive. Kale stared in shock. The girl looked exactly like her. Same face, same eyes, same age, but different, too calm, too clean, too perfect. "Who the hell are you?" Kale asked. The girl tilted her head. "I'm K-12A, she said, "the first successful copy." "No," Kale snapped. "You're not me. I'm what you were supposed to be." The copy replied, stepping closer. "You're a mistake." Kale lunged against the restraints, muscles straining, veins burning with anger. But something stopped her, not pain, a pulse, a low vibration through her spine. The room dimmed, the lights above flickered. "What's happening?" she asked. But K-12A didn't look afraid. She looked excited. "You're waking up," she said. Kale froze. "What?" "Your body was designed to adapt," the copy whispered. "You were never supposed to think for yourself, but you broke the limits. You changed the code. You evolved." Kale stared at her, heart pounding. "I don't understand," she said. "You will," K-12A replied, backing away. "But when you do, you might not like what you are." Suddenly, the restraints snapped open. Kale fell off the table and hit the floor hard. Her knees buckled, then held. Her balance returned fast, faster than normal. She looked up. K-12A was gone. The door was open, and the lab was empty, too empty. No alarms, no guards, just her, and the versions still unconscious around her. Kale stood slowly, her breath sharp and short. Then she looked at her hand. Her skin was glowing faintly under the surface, like energy pulsing in her veins. She didn't feel human, not anymore. She escaped, but her mind didn't come with her. There was a voice in Kale's head, but it wasn't hers. "Activate protocol override. Subject K-12C compromised." She gasped and jolted awake, lying on the floor of a narrow maintenance corridor, blood on her knuckles, smoke in the air. Sirens were wailing, somewhere far above, but she couldn't remember how she got here. Last thing she remembered, the lab, the other versions, K-12A vanishing into the dark. Now she was back on the surface. Alone. The memory skipped like a broken video, flashing scenes she couldn't place. A guard screaming. A ceiling collapsing. Her own voice speaking in a language she didn't understand. Kale pressed her hands to her head. Override incomplete. Anomaly detected. The voice whispered again, but distorted this time, fading in and out. "No," she whispered. "I'm done being controlled." She staggered to her feet and started walking. The hallway led to a fire exit, then to open air, red skies burning over the outer loading bays. And standing there, guns raised, ready, was Roth. Kale froze. "So did he? You okay?" he asked, voice calm but tense. She didn't answer right away. He stepped forward slowly. "Kale, where have you been?" "It's been 3 hours. We lost you on the feed." "I don't know," she said. "I blacked out." One of the crew, Bran, stepped beside Roth, frowning hard. "You expect us to believe that?" Kale looked down at herself, her torn clothes, the faint glowing under her skin. She looked like the enemy, and part of her wondered if maybe she was. "You weren't in the lab when we breached it," Roth said. "It was already cleared. No bodies, no tech, just scorch marks." "I saw them," Kale said. "Others like me. I talked to one. K-12A. She let me out." Bran stepped forward. "Or maybe you never needed letting out." Kale's fists clenched. "You think I'm lying?" "I think," Bran said, We don't know what you are anymore. Roth held up a hand, keeping the crew from drawing their weapons. Let her talk, he said. Kale looked him in the eyes. You trusted me before, she said. I trusted the version of you that wanted freedom, Roth replied. Now I need to know if that's still you. Kale stepped forward. I don't want to be controlled, she said. I want answers, and revenge, same as before. Roth stared at her a long time, then nodded. Then prove it. He tossed her a datapad. Next location, last known lab ship tied to your origin program. They scrubbed the records, but this one's off-grid, old, abandoned. Kale caught it, eyes narrowing. Then that's where I go next. Not alone, Roth said. You don't go anywhere alone anymore. Kale didn't argue, because deep down, something was shifting, something not hers. In the mirror of a cracked shuttle window nearby, she saw herself. But behind her eyes, something else was watching. The ship knew her name before she spoke. The doors opened by themselves. Not with force, not with noise. Just recognition. Kale stepped into the dark corridor of the abandoned vessel. No lights, no sounds. Just stale air and dust floating like ash in zero gravity. Behind her, Roth and 2 crew members followed, weapons ready. The ship was dead, except it wasn't. As Kale walked forward, soft blue lights flickered on, one by one. Only where she stepped, the ship pulsed like a heartbeat, faint but familiar. Roth whispered, It's responding to you. Kale didn't answer, because deep down, she knew why. This wasn't just any lab ship. It was the first one, where she was born. A soft voice echoed from the walls. K-12C accepted. Bran raised his weapon. Nope. No. That's not normal. But Kale was already walking deeper. Drawn forward. Not controlled, called. They passed chambers filled with old equipment, shattered screens, dried blood on the floor, signs of a shutdown that happened fast and violent. In one corner, a single stasis pod still blinked with green light. It was empty. Beside it, a broken tag. Prototype, Kale Prime. Kale touched it, and her mind fractured. Suddenly she saw a flash of her own face, but older. Rows of Kales, lined up like weapons in storage. A group of scientists arguing over who would survive programming. One voice stood out, the handlers. Only one version is showing self-guided decisions. The rest follow protocol. Kale fell to her knees, gasping. What did you see? Roth asked, kneeling beside her. They ended the others, she said. I wasn't chosen. I was the only one who chose. Bran's voice was tight. That mean you're the real one? No, Kale said, standing. It means I'm the only one who stopped being what they wanted. Behind her, the ship vibrated. From the main chamber ahead, a new voice spoke. Mechanical, feminine, calm. Kale Prime authorization confirmed. Do you wish to activate final directive? Kale froze. What's the final directive? Roth asked. Kale looked at the screen on the wall. It displayed 2 words. Species override. Bran stepped back. That's a kill switch. That's genocide-level code. Kale stared at it. Her hand hovered over the panel. Everything in her had been built for this. Obedience, destruction, execution. But she wasn't a weapon anymore. She was a person. No, she said, and stepped away from the console. I don't follow directives. The ship paused, as if confused, then powered down again. Systems dimmed, lights faded, silence returned. Roth smiled slightly. Guess you passed the final test. But Kale didn't smile back. It wasn't a test, she said. It was a choice. As they walked out, the ship sealed behind them. Forever. Final scene, voiceover style. Kale looks out from the ship's deck, stars ahead. I wasn't made for freedom, she says. I had to steal it, fight for it, bleed for it. And now that I have it, she turns to the crew. I decide what I become. The engines fire. The crew is whole. And Kale, once sold by weight like meat, is now the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. A free human who knows what it's like to be a tool, and what it means to never be one again.